So, very good evening to all. On behalf of GTU Graduate School of Engineering and Technology, I, Ritika Garia, Assistant Professor GSET, welcome you all once again on the online faculty development program on network security. I think now you all are very much familiar with our expert Manu Zakaria sir, Information Security Evangelist and CEO at Hack IT Technologies and Advisory Services. Sir had already conducted sessions in this FDP on various topics like introduction to network security, protocol and packet analysis, introduction to Wireshark and TCP dump, firewalls, virtual private network. Manu sir, it is really a pleasure to welcome you once again today. Now, dear participants, our today's session will be on intrusion detection system and SNOT. Now, and I would like to request you all to please keep your mic and camera off during the session. If possible, send me your queries through the chat box. So after completion of this session, we can request Manu sir to address them. Or you can ask during the session if sir permits. Manu sir, over to you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Good afternoon, everyone. Please confirm all of you can hear me clearly. Please confirm.
Yes, sir.
So let me. Okay, and can you see the white screen also? Please confirm.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so let's start today's session. Now, every day what we generally do is we first cover the theory and then today, we will do the reverse of it. Let's install ideas, and then during that process we will understand what is ideas. But I'll give you a one-line quick introduction to ideas. It is there in the name itself. First of all, the full form is intrusion detection systems. So what it does, it basically detects intrusion. Okay. Now, please remember, IDS cannot by default stop any detection. For in case if you want to stop a detection, we have to use another technology called IPS, intrusion prevention system. Okay. But intrusion prevention is an extension of IDS. That's how we have to initially see that. So detection IDS, whenever we talk about IDS, what has to come to your mind is the CCTV, cameras that is installed everywhere. That you can consider as something like a intrusion detection system. It will detect everything. It will not stop you. Okay. Another example is the security guard. Most of the security guards, they are like or you could say a security guard who is programmed not to do anything but to log any kind of intrusion activities. That is how you have to see a intrusion detection system. Now, how it is different from a firewall? It cannot stop, and some of the other features we will understand once we start working with the intrusion detection system. Now, the second point that I want to start off is the ideas that we have picked up. We have picked up one of the oldest and one of the very famous intrusion detection system called SNOT. Okay, so SNOT is currently owned by Cisco, I believe. Okay, so this project is taken over by Cisco, and still there are releases happening. So the default homepage is www.snot.org. Now, there are a lot of discussions and debates on whether SNOT is a good ideas or bad ideas, or it is outdated. A lot of discussion debates are happening. But from my personal experience, I would say to understand, to start off with the IDS concepts, okay, one of the most recommended platform is Snort. Okay, so in that context, let's start. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to install Snort. Once I install Snort, then explaining some of the things that you can do with Snort becomes easy for me. That is why I'm first starting with the installation part. Okay, so first task is to install Snort on the Debian machine. Okay, the same machine I'll be using, and the first thing is installing the dependencies. Okay, so let me get into the lab part straight away. Well, there are so many dependencies, so I'll be typing it on different lines so that it is easy for you to read. If I type it in one line, it becomes slightly, not very user friendly. That's the reason. Otherwise, when you are doing it, you can type it in one line also. Okay. So these are the dependencies, and this is required for you to install Snort. So we are not installing Snort as of now. We are just setting up the machine so that we can install Snort at a later stage. So these are the dependencies. All these things are there in the official documentation of Snort, or from the Snort website. You can get all these details. Otherwise, also you can publicly there on the internet. Okay. So let me press enter, and it is asking me, do you want to continue? I'll say yes. Okay, so we can see that the installation is successful. Now, what we will do is we need to step 2. So there is a library which is required for Snort to work, which is the data acquisition library, DAQ. Okay, so our next step is to download and install DAQ. Okay, download, compile, and install DAQ. So either you can go directly, or after the session is over, I'll be pasting the download link in the chat window, so that time you can copy it. Okay, so let me go to my website. So I'll say sudo mkdir and I'll go to user source and I'll create a directory called snort_source, and then I will change directory to that particular directory, and then I will download the source code of DAQ. Okay, so I'll download the source code of DAQ. Now let's verify whether the source code is downloaded. Okay, not downloaded. Let me just check what is the issue. Please wait. Okay, permission denied. Let me just quickly check it. Please give me 1 minute. Okay, sorry for that. I thought it's a web server issue. It's not a web server issue. It's a sudo issue. Sorry for that. So you can see I have the file downloaded. The source code of DAQ is right now downloaded to my local computer or the local directory. Now the next step is to extract this particular file so that I have access to the files inside this archive. So I will say sudo tar zexcep, and then I'll say the file name. So it will extract that, and now you can see there is a folder that is created. Okay, so I have extracted this file, and now I have this folder. Okay, now I will change directory, and you can see there are so many files inside this directory. So if you have experience with installing software from the source code, the commonly found approach is configure, make install. So you can see that there is a configure script available here. Okay, so we can run it. So basically what the configure step will do is there or not. So let's quickly do that. So we will say, let me clear the screen, and I will say /configure. Okay. So this, what it will do is, it will now carry out a lot of checks. You can see on the left hand side, it is doing checking. You can see that. And we are not getting any errors. So that means our configure step completed successfully. Okay. Once the configure step is completed, our next step is to compile. Okay, our next step is to compile the source code. So how do we do that? We run the make command. Okay, so you can see the next step is done. The compilation step is completed. Now we can, the next step is install DAQ. So the command to install after you finish the compilation is make install. So since I am running it from a non-root user, I am adding sudo command also. Okay, so I press enter. and you can see the installation successfully finished. Okay, so the quick summary, download DAQ. Our first step is what? Install dependencies. Run the configure script and then compile the source code and then install DAQ. So these are the steps that we finished till now. Okay, so that's fine. So let's proceed, and now what we will do is our next step. Let's go one step back, and our next step is install Snort. Again, the same thing, download the source code. Configure, make, and make install. Okay, so basically the steps are almost same. There will be some slight differences which we will see very soon. So let's quickly see that. So what I will do is, again, I will download the Snort software, not source code basically. So I'll go with this 950. So I'll say sudo wget and download. So you can see my Snort source code is downloaded. Now the next step is to extract it, and then I'll say exf Snort, and now if you see my Snort folder is created. Sorry, Snort folder is created here. You can see that. Now we have to change directory. After change directory, let's see the configure script is there. We can see the configure script is here. So we can run the configure script sudo.configure. Now let me show you one more thing. The commercial version of Snort is known as SourceFire. Okay. Now you can see here the company's Firepower network security appliance were based on Snort. Okay, so you can say like this: the commercial version of Snort is known as SourceFire. Okay, and in case if you want your Snort to work with SourceFire, so let's say there is a big network and you are installing Snort, and you want your Snort to work with the SourceFire installation that is available there on that particular network, then you have to, enable an option during the configure. Okay, so how do we do that? You can say enable SourceFire. Okay, again, let me repeat, this is not mandatory. This is only required only if you are allowing or if you want your Snort to work with other SourceFire appliances that is there on the network. Okay, so even if you don't type this, it will work. So one of the objectives is to show you how you can pass parameters or flags during the configure step. Okay, so that is another reason why I showed this, and all these informations are there if you go through the help file or the man file. Okay, So let's quickly do the configure part. So you can see the configure step is over, and the next step is install, or sorry, compile. So we will say sudo make. So now it is compiling. Okay, so you can see that the compilation is over. The next step is install. Okay, so let's quickly see the install, or let's quickly do install sudo make install. And the installation is over. So before I proceed, let me quickly show you how can you get help about the enable Sourcefire flag that we use. So anytime you want to get help about the configure, the H option, H is for help. You will see all the help files listed here. In case if you want to see only particular to that enable Sourcefire, you can do a grep command and do a enable Sourcefire. So you can see only that particular line helps we are seeing. Okay, so almost. So anytime you feel like, okay, I don't know about this, I need to know. So just give it a try, even if you don't understand for the first time. 2-3 times when you read, slowly, we'll start understanding all these concepts. Okay. So let's proceed. Let's see whether Snort is now successfully installed. We can use the which command. So we'll say which, and you can see Snort is right now installed in this path, user local bin USR local bin Snort. Okay. So now if you try to run Snort, let's say -v is to see the version of Snort. Okay. Then it will say there is some error. Okay. So you can see error while loading shared libraries, blah blah blah, cannot open shared object file, no such file or directory. Okay, so why this happened? So one of the you might have heard debates or discussions about difference between Windows and Linux, and some of the Linux fans say that okay, you don't have to restart Linux after installation. And Windows, we know sometimes or most of the times Windows you have to restart for the new software to become fully operational. So something similar here also. This problem can be solved if you restart it, but Linux has so many options to bypass that. In the sense, you can run a command which will load the shared library. So basically, what the problem is, Snort is unable to find this file, this library file. Okay, so we can run a command and push it into memory or make it available to Snort, and the command is ldconfig. Okay, so we will say sudo ldconfig. So what will happen is all the new libraries that are available on the system, which came to the system during the installation, is now loaded into memory, which means it is available to Snort now. So if you run Snort-v again, you can see Snort is now perfectly working. Why? Because we loaded all the new libraries to memory. Okay, so right now you can see we have a working Snort available. Okay, now we need to do some more configuration or post installation steps. Then only we can start using Snort. Okay, so our next step is to configure Snort. So please wait. Okay, so before I proceed, let me pause and see whether we have any questions till now. If you have any questions, please let me know. I'll pause for probably 30 seconds and see if we are getting any questions. Okay. Any commands, any command, if it is not here or any such questions, please let me know. Okay, so I think no questions. Let's proceed. So so this step is optional, but it is considered to be a best practice so that your Snort will work always. Otherwise, you have to give the complete path. That is the reason why we create a symbolic link. So we will say sudo ln-s user local bin not user has been not. Okay, so we created a symbolic link in case if you are new to this, it is something like our in Windows we create shortcut links. Okay, on your desktop we will create some link which will point to a file inside your D drive or some other location. Similar concept in Linux, we call it the symbolic link. Okay, or soft link, you could say soft link. Okay, so let's go to the next step. And now we will say we'll add a user and group for Snort. So one of the security principles followed in Linux is never run any software as root. Okay, because running anything as root is very, very dangerous, because if that process or that program is compromised, then the attacker has the root privileges. So that is one reason why we say, never run any software as root. So what is the recommendation here is we will create a group and a user, and we will name it as Snort, or you can name it as any other name, but the official documentation recommends using the Snort username and group name. Okay, so that is what we are going to do next. We will create a user and a group. Both will have the name Snort, and then we will run the software using this newly created user and group. Okay, so that is what I'm going to do next. So what are the options that I use here? Okay, so I use the first option, -R. -R is to specify create system account. -S I used to specify the shell. Okay, so there is a special shell called user has been no login. If you give this shell to this user, then nobody can log into the system, just like how I logged in now. You can see I logged in as some Shuhari user. Okay, so if you, why? Because I have a shell assigned to me. But if you assign the shell, okay, which is no login, then this user, which user, not user, cannot log in like how I logged in. So it's another security mechanism, you could say. And then -C is comment, and -G is the group to add. Okay, so these are the various options I used. This is just to secure the new user or keep it in a more contained way. And the next thing is we need to create some required folder. So we will say sudo mkdir -p etc snort rules. So this will be the directory where we will write rules. Okay. Now let's discuss about rules. All of you remember our iptables class. Now when I first opened iptables, it was empty. It was equal to not having a firewall. Then we started writing rules. Then only the firewall came into action, or firewall started filtering packets and all those things. Similarly, right now, Snort is, you could say it is useless now. Why? Because there is no rule as of now written, which means it is equal to not having Snort. So once the installation is complete, configuration is complete, we are going to write some rules, and those rules will be placed inside this directory. Which directory? etc snort rules. And those rules will enable or empower this particular Snort installation. Without rules, it is It is a useless software. It will not do anything. It will just sit there and consume your probably memory and hard disk space. That's it. Okay. So it is something like you have an antivirus. Your antivirus is of no use if you don't update it, because you need to have the latest signatures and all those things to catch the latest attacks or viruses. Similarly, a snort requires rules. If you don't have the rules, you cannot use snort in the most efficient way. Okay. So this folder is to place all your rules. Now this is the directory for the log. Everybody can easily figure it out from the path itself. So this is a directory that has to be created for the libraries. Okay, it's not dynamic rules library. So this is just like a placeholder. You have to create it. If it is not there, this not might throw some errors. Okay, so the next step, we need to copy some files. So let's copy the config file. Okay, please understand this command. I am copying all files whose extension starts with conf. Okay, and one of the common mistake most of the participants do is they forget the space. There is a space here. So whenever you are working with the copy command, if you are very new to the shell environment, please remember copy will always have a source and a destination. Okay, so two location has to be there. So don't forget this space here. That is very, very important. Okay, so sudo space copy space root slash user slash src slash not underscore src slash not dot const star space slash etc slash not. Okay, so don't make a mistake here. One small mistake, your snot will not work. It will start throwing errors. So there is something known as map file. So that also we need to copy to the same location. So again, remember there is a space between the source location and the destination location. Okay. So by default, when you install Snot, Snot looks for 3 default log files. Okay, so we need to create this. So we will use the touch command, which will create an empty file, and we will name the 3 files as shown in the screen. Okay, so these are the 3 files that we need to create. So let's do the same with the help of touch command. So we will say etc dot rules, and then we'll say white underscore list dot rules. Second, black underscore list dot rules, and then third is local dot rules. Okay, so we have 3 empty files we created inside the rules folder. Okay. Now, one more thing we have to do is we have to change the permission of the folders that we created earlier. Some permissions have to be assigned, changed, ownership change, all those things. So let's quickly do that. So if you remember in the previous step, we created 3 directories. So in this step, I am changing the permissions for the 3 directories. And then the next 3 step is to change the ownership. Okay. So let's quickly change the ownership of these directories. So I will say sudo chown, and I will say R for recursive. And who is going to be the owner? I told you we should not run anything as root. So we will say the Snot user and Snot group is going to take the ownership of etc Snot directory. And the same is applicable for var log Snot. And also we will do the same thing for user local lib Snot underscore dynamic rules. Okay, so first 3 commands change the permission, and the next 3 commands change the ownership of the 3 directories that we create. So these are the changes that you have to do after you install Snot. And one more final thing, we have to edit the configuration file of Snot. Okay, so which is the primary configuration file of Snot? The primary configuration file is etc snot.conf. This is the primary configuration file of Snot. Okay, and we need to edit this file. Couple of changes we have to do. So let's quickly do that. So before we edit any configuration file in any operating system, it is always a good practice to take a backup, because in case if we make any mistake, we always have a backup we can restore from that. Okay, so let's quickly take a backup. So verified. You can see I have the backup file. Now I can edit the main file. Okay, so now what we can do is we will search for There is rule underscore path. Okay. So come to line number 104 and you will see 3 lines here and it is clearly documented here. Path. Okay, so let's change it to absolute path. So this is the first change that you have to make inside this not.1. Okay. The second change is immediately below that. Here also you have to give the complete path. So let's give etc not tools and then etc not tools. So our main configuration entry is over. Now we have to edit one section in this file. So scroll down and look for step 6. Okay, right now you can see we are in step 2. For step 7, I think step 7 we will go. Step 7. Please wait. I will show you where is it. You can do a search and straight away jump there. That is also possible. We reach step 6 and step 7. Okay. So step 7 contains the references to the rules. Okay. So I told you, or if you remember, how many empty rule files we created. Can anybody type here? If you remember, how many empty rule files we created? Let me see how many of you remember that. Can somebody type in the chat window? 3, very correct, very correct. So the first one was white underscore list dot rules, second is black underscore list dot rules, and the third one is local dot rules. Okay. So similarly, here also we should have a rule file that we created. Okay. If you want, you can download these rules from the Snort official website. Right now we have not downloaded, so we basically need 3 lines only. So either comment out these lines or you can delete these lines. It's up to you. We don't need this because we have not downloaded, we are not using it. Okay, so let's quickly edit all these, or let's remove all these things. I don't need all these lines. What I need is I need 3 entries here. One is white underscore list dot rules. Second is black underscore list dot rules, and third is local dot rules. Please remember in which step we are. We are in step 7. Okay, please remember that. So in step 7, make sure we have only 3 lines, or you can have all those which was previously existing, just comment it out. Okay, so that's it. We have completed our configuration. So before we start running Snort, the first thing that we will do is we will test Snort is working fine or not. Okay, so we have edited the configuration file, we did so many other things. So Snort has a feature to do a self-test. So Snort will check everything and will report to you whether Snort is working fine or not, or is it ready to work or not. Okay, so let's quickly do that. So we will say sudo snort -t. T is for testing. And which is the configuration file to be used for this running? We will say etc snort.conf. That's it. Okay, I press enter. and you can see the last two lines, not successfully validated the configuration, and Snot is exiting. So there is no error. Your configuration files are correct and there is no problem in the configuration file. That is the meaning. Okay, so you can note down this command, Snot -T, then space -C. -C is to specify configuration file. Wait. So this is the what do you call, the command to test Snot. So please wait. Okay, so let's proceed. Now we are ready to run Snot. But if you recollect or if you remember our discussion, right now we have not written any rules. Okay, our three files are empty. It is of no use. Okay, so even if you run Snot now, nothing will happen. So let's see running Snot. So first thing is you can run modes. Okay, mode 1, packet capture mode. So in this mode, it will work like TCP dump. Mode 2, IDS mode, for which we will write rules and Snot will discuss. Snot will detect intrusions. The next mode that we can discuss is inline mode, which is also known as IPS mode. So Snot can work with your firewall to block intrusions. So please, everybody, in case if you have any question on these three modes, please let me know. First one is just like our TCP dump that we studied first day. Snot can work like that. That is known as packet capture mode. Second is IDS mode, and third is inline mode or IPS mode. I will be showing the first and the second one today. Okay. So packet capture mode is very, very simple. Just run Snot without any parameters. Sorry. Okay, so let's continue Snot. If you just run like this. So this is how you run it in packet capture mode. Nothing is happening here. Now Snot is working just like TCP dump. No other difference, no other change. Okay. So the command, you can just note it down, Snot, and then I'm saying run Snot as user Snot and group Snot. That is the meaning of this command. Okay. So it is basically saying don't run Snot as root user, run it as user Snot and group Snot. So this is equal to running a TCP dump. Running Snot in packet capturing mode, is that concept clear? It is very simple. You just have to run it just like how you are running TCP dump. Okay, please confirm whether this packet capture mode is clear to you. Okay, now let's run Snort in IDS mode. Okay. So since I have not written any rules, nothing will happen. The screen will be empty. Okay, nothing. Snort will not do anything because we have not given any instructions to Snort. Okay, so let's quickly start Snort in IDS mode. So I will say what are the options I'll be using? -I to specify the interface. I will use my interface ENS33. Okay, so the command that I'm going to use is sudo not -I ENS33 -u snort -g snort -c etc snort.com, and then I'll say I want to see the alerts. Okay, if Snort is detecting anything, how Snort should alert me? So I'm saying, please show your alert in the console. Okay, that is the meaning of the last two, section. -a console means please show the alerts to the console. That is the meaning. Okay, so let me press enter, and you can see I have a process ID and nothing is happening. No alerts, nothing is happening. The reason being I have not written any rule till now. Okay, so my rules file or rules folder is empty basically. That is the reason I am not getting any alerts. So our next step is to write a rule so that we can see Snort detecting some packets or some traffic based on the rules that we write. Okay, so yesterday or days yesterday when we studied firewall IP tables, how to write rules we studied. If you remember, IP tables -a input and then so many flags that we used and all those things. Similar to that, the Snort rules also have certain basic rules that we have to remember. Okay, so let's now get into the topic. How can we write rules for Snort? Okay. So let me open the file. So let's write a simple rule. Before that, understand any line that starts with a hash is a comment. Okay, so let's write a simple rule. So I'm saying generate an alert if protocol is IP and then there are 4 any. Okay, so what is the meaning of this? Okay, so the first any means if an IP packet is coming from any IP and let it be coming from any port number and let it go to any IP, any port number, if this condition is matching, okay, then please show a message. What is the message I want to display? IP packets detected. Okay, now every rule or every snort rule that you write should have a unique ID. Okay, so this ID is known as SID, and let's give it a number. So let's put 1 and followed by 6 zeros, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 1. Okay, the next number will be 1, 6 zeros followed by 2. Next rule will be 3. Like that, we can keep incrementing it. Okay, don't write two rules with the same SID. It will throw error or it will not work. Okay, so please remember that. Let's close the bracket and quickly once again quick revision. I am saying generate an alert if I detect, when I say I, if not detect an IP packet coming from anywhere, coming from any port, going to any IP, any port. If this condition is matched, then generate or show a message, and the message that I want to display is IP packet detected, and I'm giving this rule ID, which is this number. Okay, so let's quickly test snort. So you can see there is no error. You can see here. Okay, so let's run snort now, and can you see the snort alerts now with the string that we discussed? I mean the string that we configured. Can you see on the screen a lot of packets being detected? Okay, so this is a very simple rule, simple example that we wrote. Okay, now I will edit that rule and let's see if something else is happening. Okay, so let me press Control C. Let's go back to the rule again. And let's say instead of IP, I will say if any ICMP is coming. So we all know when do we use ICMP? When we are pinging a machine, we use ICMP, right? So this time I'm not saying I want to see IP packets, but I'm saying I want to see an alert whenever anybody pings my machine. Okay, so let's see that. Let's test it. Okay, and I will run it. So right now you can see no alert is coming because nobody is pinging me. Let me ping from another box. Okay, and I will ping only one time. So I'll say ping 192.168.106.137, I think, count 1. So you can see only one ping I sent, and you can see two entries came. Everybody knows why it is, because one is ICMP echo request and second is ICMP echo reply. Okay, that is why for one ping it is showing two entries. Okay, so I'll pause now and please let me know if whatever we discussed till now is it clear, and any questions you have, please let me know. I will pause and then after your questions, we can proceed. Is the last example clear, like the ICMP one? Okay, so that's clear as of now. Now let's take one more advanced scenario, and then we will, get into the practical implementation of it. So this time I want some answers from you. Then only I can proceed. Without your answers, we cannot proceed. So I want you to tell me what are the differences between a Windows ping and a Linux ping. So when a Windows machine pings your machine and when a Linux machine pings your machine, what are the differences? Okay, so please, whoever can answer one or two differences, major differences, if you can answer, that will help us to proceed further. So I'm waiting for your response. I told you this class has to be two-way interaction. Otherwise, we all will sleep, we all will lose interest. So your contribution also is very, very important. So please, everybody, help me understand the difference between a Windows ping and Linux ping. You can type your answers if you want. If you don't know, if you're unable to answer, then also please let me know, sir, we don't know or I don't know. At least I have some response from you guys. One is TTL. Okay, very good. Jaideep, very good. Please use Google also, no problem. Window size, correct. Anything else? Let's make it 3 answers. 2 I got. Let's see one more if we can find out. Certain flags in layer 3. Okay. Okay. Because we are mainly looking at the other side, the application side. No problem. Okay. So let me take you to my Windows machine. Okay, and let's understand the difference. Okay. So let's go to my Windows machine. Byte size. Very correct. Very correct, Harsh. Very correct. The payload is different. So let's go to our Windows machine. Okay, so let me log in. Let me open one more machine. Please wait. Windows 10 is good enough. Windows 10 match. Okay, so let me open up my machine. Okay, so I have two machines now here. Let me run Wireshark here. Okay, and I'm going to capture traffic on this interface. Okay, and I want to see only ICMP packets. So I am not interested in any other packet. I am only interested in ICMP packets. Okay, what is my IP address? Let's quickly see. My IP address is 192.168.106.136. Okay, so I'm going to ping first from Windows machine, and then I'm going to ping from a Linux machine. Okay, and let's see the differences. Okay, so I open up my second Windows machine, and I will say ping 192.168.106.136, and I want to send only one packet. That is why I'll say N1. Okay, otherwise by default it sends 4 packets. Okay, so I'll say 1 packet, and let's see whether it is going or not. Okay, so ICMP ping request has come here. Okay, now let's go to our second machine, which is the Linux machine, and let's do a ping from there. So I'll say ping and 192.168.106.136, and here it is not N, it is C1. So I'll send 1 packet, and you can see that packet also reached here. Okay. Now, if you look at the details, the ICMP from Windows contains the payload ABCDEFGH. Can you see here ABCDEFGH? And if you look at the Linux ping, it is not ABCD, but it is special characters followed by numbers. Okay. Look here, the payload, what is inside the ping, that is what we are talking. So a Windows machine always sends ABCDEFGHIJKLM, you can see here, and Linux box always sends this. Okay, so let me come to the chat window just to ensure that all of you can see this and understand this, the difference between a Windows ping and Linux ping. Okay. So please confirm one of the primary difference between Windows and Linux, which I showed you. Is it clear? Any questions on that? Please let me know. Okay, I'm getting one answer. So one person understood. Okay, so no, we cannot change it such. Probably for Linux you can do it because the source code is open, so you have to change the source code of Linux, and probably you can do that. But otherwise, by default, this is the standard payload. Okay, so now what is the scenario? Now the scenario is I want to configure Snort so that whenever a Windows machine is pinging me, I should get the alert. But whenever a Linux machine is pinging me, there should not be any alert. Okay, this is the scenario that I want to simulate. So please first confirm whether the scenario is clear. So I want to run a Snort, and the Snort should generate an alert whenever a Windows machine is pinging me. But if a Linux machine is pinging, I don't want any alert. Is the scenario clear? Please tell me. Okay, so let's see how we can write that rule. Okay, so let's go to our Windows machine. Sorry, our what do you call our Snort machine. So I will say my rules file, and then I will say ICMP any, and I will say ping from Windows, and if you want, you can type the ICMP type. I type in ICMP type. There are two types. One is ICMP echo request, which is type 8, and ICMP echo reply, which is type 0. Okay, so we are looking for packets which is type 8 ICMP echo request. If you are new to this, please read more about ICMP types. Okay, so I'm saying I'm looking for echo request which is coming towards me. That is what is the meaning of ICMP. I type equal to 8, and inside that packet, if the content is A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, this is more than enough. Okay, if the content is this, show this alert. This is more than enough. If you want, you can specify additional parameters like depth and all those things, which right now is not required. This is more than enough. Okay, so let me run this, and let me start one more machine. Please wait. Okay, so before I run, what is my IP? You can see my IP is 137. Okay, I am running Snort. Before that, let me test if everything is good. You can see all good. I'm running Snort. Okay, so now the first test I will do is I will test it from a Linux machine, and we will see whether it is able to detect or not. So let's see, root to, and I will say ping 192.168.106.137. Okay, so ping is happening, but you can see Let me show you. Wait, please. Okay, so you can see here, I am pinging, but here there is no rules being, fired, or no alerts is coming. Why? Because we have written in the rule that we are interested only in Windows ping, and this is a Linux machine which is pinging. That is why it is not generating any alert. Okay. Now let's do the same thing. Let's generate a ping request from a Windows machine. Okay. So let me stop this. And let me go to my Windows machine. And I'll say ping 192.168.106.137, and I will send only one ping. Okay, only one ping I'm sending, and you can see it. I have sent it, and you can see here it is detected only that one ping because of the rule that we wrote. So is this scenario as well as the concept clear? Please tell me. Any questions you have, you can ask. No, Snot has to run only on the machine which you want to monitor. The other machine doesn't have Snot. Okay, so I think no more questions. So let me show you one more scenario. Okay, and then probably I can give you one assignment as well as time to practice this. Okay, so let me show you one more scenario. Now let's assume I have what do you call? I have a web server running. Okay, so let me install a web server. Sudo apt-get install Apache 2. Okay, now I want to get an alert when anybody connects to my Apache server. Okay, what is the requirement? I want to get alerts whenever anybody tries to connect to my Apache server. So what I can do, I can say I can write a new rule. So this time, sorry, I have to say sudo nano etc not rules local dot rules. Okay, and I pick up and put another rule ID, and I will say web server access. And what is the protocol? The protocol has to be IP or TCP. So I'll say IP. And any to what is the change here? I will say any traffic coming to port number 80. Is this clear? This rule that I've written, is it clear? Any doubt? Please ask me. Please confirm if the rule is clear to all of you. Okay. So what we can do? We can save this and then test it. No problem. And then run it. Oh, sorry. Okay, it is some other traffic is going outside. So wait. I will say IP A, my IP I'll put 106.137. Test. Again, it is showing 192.168.137.22. It is coming. Wait, please. Show here. Not rules local.hooks. Okay. Any and we will say okay. So please wait. Let me just shut down all the machines. Please wait. Okay, so now we can say not hyphen I ENS33 hyphen U not hyphen G not hyphen C etc not dot con. I'll say alert control. So right now no alert is coming. Let me open up my browser and connect to that server. Before I connect, you can see nothing is there. Let me say 192.168.106.137 and I connect, and you can see the log being generated, and you can see the source IP is 106.1 and the destination IP is 106.137. Okay, so this is another example where we wrote a rule which says, sorry, wait. Cat etc is not rule local.rule. So you can see here this rule we are trying to detect any traffic that is coming to port number 80 on this particular IP. Okay, so that's the quick introduction to SNOT. Okay, now we have almost 20-25 minutes. You can do this lab, or I'm giving you one more assignment. I showed you how to detect the the ping from Windows machine. Okay, now you can write a rule to detect ping from a Linux machine only. So if you run that rule, then only Linux ping should be detected, not Windows ping. Okay, Windows ping I already showed you. So the assignment to you is like, if you want, you can write a rule that will detect only Linux ping. Okay, and if you finish before 6 o'clock, you can post it in the chat window, or you can message here that you finished, and then we can see whether it is working or not. Okay, so now after giving 3-4 examples, now you know what is the definition of IDS. Basically, IDS can detect intrusions depending on the rules that we write. Okay, and in case if you have any other questions, please feel free to ask. We can use this time for some Q&A as well as some discussion. Okay, otherwise the lab as well as the demo part is over. Any questions, please let me know. Okay, there is an announcement. Everybody, please check the chat window. So if anybody finished the rule for detecting Linux, please type it here. Let me see if anybody finished. Okay, Harsh, no problem. Okay, guys. So tomorrow, whenever you finish, just share it. In case if you have any doubt, you can ask me tomorrow, and try to do it. At least when you do it once, then only your concept will be clear. You'll feel more confident, and then a new release comes or a new similar software comes, you'll be confident that you can install it without facing too much of problem. So try to do all these things. I've given step by step, very, very, detailed instructions I've given. So try to finish it. You have the operating system VM also with you. So things are pretty much straightforward. So it shouldn't create much problem. Only thing is the command is very, very, case sensitive, as well as so many other minor things you need to pay attention. Then only it will work. So see if you can, get it up and running. And any issues are there, please let me know tomorrow. And tomorrow's topic, all of you know, tomorrow I think is the last day. I think, let me just check. Yes, I think tomorrow is the last day. So we are going to talk about PKI, and we'll set up a small lab and all those things. Okay. So see you tomorrow. Any questions you can ask tomorrow also. So thank you so much. And, I hand over to the chair.
Okay, sir. I have already dropped a message about tomorrow's MCQ test. So please take a note, participants. Thank you so much, Manu sir, for such a wonderful and informative session. I'm sure that participants have learned so many things from this session. and this will be definitely a worthwhile. Thank you so much all participants for your attention. Thank you all. Now you can leave the meeting.